Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your geeky host, Lindsay Wheeler, where we talk about everything from death, preparing for your future through estate planning, life, the occasional breakup, entrepreneurship, general nerdery, and of course travel, snowboard, and always wine. Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips with your host, Lindsay, and today we're going to talk about all things furry. And not that kind of fur, everyone, dirty. As you all know, I have cats, I have chickens, I have an animal lover, I have all my little critters. I used to have rabbits, I had a ferret at one point, I've had hamsters. I just love all. I love the critters. I love critters. If somebody would like to give me possums, I would take a possum right now. They're the cutest little creatures ever. But today's episode, we're going to talk about your pets and what do you do when you're not here. So a lot of times you'll hear horror stories. You'll even see, like I saw a post today on Next Door Neighbor about, they're having to rehome this cat because the owner unfortunately has had to go into assisted living and they're not able to take the animal with them. It is a horrible reality and it sucks, especially for older people who their little dog or their little cat or whatever it is their life and they don't get to have them anymore, and that's really awful. So what we do as practitioners, we set up what we call pet trusts. And I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but I want to kind of just talk about it again because it's a really important thing. A lot of us have animals. A lot of us are opting not to have children or not to go into that more family-oriented role, if you will, and we're treating our animals now as our children, if you will. So how do we, just like our children, provide for them if we're not able to or we're not here anymore? And the way that we do that is called a pet trust. So usually what we do is we'll set up your estate plan for you, that revocable living trust, and within that document or a set-aside document, you can do two separate ones. You can put it into your estate plan or you can do a full separate pet trust for your pets. And with that, we're going to lay out what happens to that animal. So the important things to really understand when you're setting this up is maybe not being so specific with your animal because unfortunately we outlive our animals. So you can be fairly vague in the sense of I want these things to be taken care of for any animal that I have at the time of my death, if you will. Or you can be specific. Maybe you have older animals that will outlive you if you're older, or you have animals that by themselves will outlive you. Tortoises, turtles, parrots, certain birds are going to outlive you. So you can then by them specifically name them. Like one client had Sir Speedy. I think we talked about that. He was a tortoise and he was born in 1976. He's definitely going to outlive everybody. I just saw a cool, fun, Instagram video about a woman who has her tortoise that she puts away for the winter, and she was showing us how he hibernates, and that turtle was about 75 years old. So pretty crazy stuff that you can do. So what you should consider when you're creating this pet trust is that you assume, honestly, that your family or friends are going to take care of those animals for you. And the reality of it is they probably will not. They don't have the ability to, they don't have the resources to, they don't have the space to do so, or might not get along with their animals, if you will. So creating, just with your estate plan, a clear path or instructions of what's going to happen. So within your estate plan, you'll include parameters of money for that animal. You'll include caretakers, who's going to take care of that animal, and then how you may want that animal to be taken care of. So for example, in your estate plan, you would provide for your animal by saying the following: I wish to provide X amount of money for the welfare, love, and care of my cat, Bonneville, I don't know what his name is, whatever it is, for the remainder of his lifetime until he passes away, or whatever it is. You can also put, like I said, more vague, that I provide X amount of money or a percentage of the estate to the care, maintenance, and love of any animal that I have at the time of my death. From there, you'll list who's going to take care of that animal. You're going to have a caretaker or your trustee of your animal. And making sure, again, like with your estate plan, that we go down in succession, that if that person's not able to or available to take care of that animal, we have somebody else in line to make sure that that animal is taken care of and doesn't have to go where it doesn't want to go, such as a shelter or whatever it is, okay? So very important to do that. You can also put very specific instructions in there about how you take care of this animal. You want them to still be taken care of in the same like manner that you have loved them and taken care of them, just like you would a child. So think about this, is that if you're going to provide for your kids in that guardianship nomination, the same thing for your animals as well. So do they like a specific type of food? That's what you have instructions in there, that this money that you have set aside for them is going to go for their specific type of food that they are accustomed to. Maybe boarding facilities if you go on vacation for them, any kind of medication, vet care, vet maintenance, if you will be put in there, or specific living arrangements. Do they need to have a certain type of bed or whatever it is? Again, just make clear instructions. My default is always for a 4th grade class to understand what you want Fluffy to be taken care of accordingly, if you will. So in our pet trust, we have this one in my pet trust as well. She's a little bit of an older lady, and I probably will outlive her, but she is in there that she will be taken care of in the like manner that I have. I have instructions for her specific type of food that she likes. I have a feeding schedule for her, what kind of litter she likes, if you will. I mean, you can put all the things in there, her medications, her vet records, how she needs to be taken care of. Like I said, she's a little bit of an older gal, but if something were to happen to me, how would she be taken care of? And I would want her to live her natural life as best and as loving as she can, how I would with her, obviously. So I put all those instructions in there. Of course, she's going to go to my really good friend who is also a cat lady, and we'll do a whole episode on cats because I can talk all day about kitties. We talk about kitties. They're the best. So she, of course, is going to go to her. If she's not able to, then I want to make sure that she would be the one who would pick where she would go, because I trust her implicitly of where she would want these animals to go and be having happy, healthy, loving lives, if you will. So it's very important to have these things set up, again, those instructions, because at the end of the day, if you aren't here and your animals are left, somebody is going to come in there if you don't have anything in place, and oftentimes just bring them to the animal shelter, or I've seen them too where people just let them out the door. That is awful, and of course never should do that. It's actually technically illegal. So, but that's the reality of life, unfortunately. So they might go to animal control, they might go to the county, they might go to a kill shelter where you wouldn't want your beloved animal going to. So making sure that you have a plan for where they go and somebody to take care of that plan for you is very important, and that's why we include those animal or pet trusts within our estate planning documents. So let's talk a little bit about kind of famous pet trusts, if you will. And of course, we've kind of discussed these before, but Leona Helmsley, the hotel heiress, she was like the original hotel heiress before there was like Paris Hilton and all of them, once they were little girls at that time. But the most famous pet trust of all time, because it was such an interesting thing, is that she left $12 million to her Maltese dog, Trouble. Now, again, we're not leaving the money specifically to animals because they obviously can't go open a bank account and can't go buy their own food. So we're leaving it in the care of somebody. So we're saying that's being left to them, but theoretically it's being left to the pet trust for them for their maintenance. And again, we have a caretaker who's going to take care of them, and also a money manager managing that money. And oftentimes they're the same person, but they don't have to be. Okay. For Leona Helmsley, $12 million out of that fortune was a substantial amount of money. And of course, her family, being greedy people they are, because the best come out when people die, challenged that money going to her dog. And I can see why she probably left that money to her dog, because if her family is so money grubbing that they would want to challenge her wishes on that, they're probably left out for a reason or had reduced amounts for them. But they challenged it, of course, and the amount was reduced to $2 million, but still made Trouble, her Maltese, one of the most richest animals in the world. And that trust was used again to cover Trouble's expenses, including a full-time caretaker, a grooming, vet bills, until she passed away in 2011. Oftentimes you'll have clauses in there of what happened to that. I'm sure it didn't cost $2 million for that dog's lifetime to be taken care of course. So what happens to that excess money? You can put in there that if the animal were to predecease within that time and there's funds left over, you can say what those funds get used for. Maybe you like them to be donated to the ASPCA or your favorite dog charity or animal rescue or whatever it is. You can put that in there, or just have it go back into the trust estate to be distributed how you wanted it to be. Another super famous one, of course, is Oprah Winfrey's dog. She's, of course, alive, obviously, but she has reportedly, we're not sure on this, of course, because trusts are never public knowledge, set aside $30 million in her estate for the care of her dogs. And again, she didn't list her dogs because she likes to have new dogs when those ones pass away. She's trying to help them out, or just gets breeding dogs. I don't really know. But it's believed her estate also includes a comprehensive pet trust to ensure that they live comfortably for the rest of their lives if she were to pass away. Of course, we've talked about Karl Lagerfeld's cat, Choupette, and how he left a significant amount of money to that cat to live his lifestyle. And in fact, Kim Kardashian was going to take the cat to the Met that one year, and the cat did not like Kim Kardashian. So, and I don't think Kim's a real animal-friendly person either, so it seemed like it was mutual, if you will. So that cat is still living out its life. Obviously, Karl has passed away, and the cat has got a media team. It's got caretakers. It's got all these things that's how they got in touch with to see if the cat would be a good fit for her to take her on the red carpet, which it wasn't. Gunther the Fourth was the world's richest dog. It was a German Shepherd, reportedly to inherit $80 million from his owner, a wealthy German countess. The dog's estate was managed by a trustee who has invested in properties, making the dog one of the wealthiest animals ever to live. So again, that caretaker and that trustee is making sure that that dog's money, if you will, is still earning just like you would with your kids. They just have a shorter lifespan, essentially, and they're probably not going to college. So again, what is really important when you're thinking about setting up a pet trust is making sure that that caretaker that you have determined to be the caretaker for your animal is somebody that you love, that you know, that you trust, that you know that is going to take care of your animals in that same like fashion manner that you would and love and support them for the rest of their lives, just like you would who would take care of your kids in that guardianship nomination. Again, it's very important that you're not going to give it to somebody who's just going to dump them at the shelter. It's a good idea to also name that alternate caretaker. Maybe that person is not available. Maybe they've passed away. Maybe they're not a good fit at the time to take these animals, even though that you felt they would, giving alternates that way. And then, of course, naming the trustee who's going to then manage those funds to take care of that animal for their lifetime and manage the money that that caretaker will need for the animal for their lifetime. So for today's wine talk, we're going to talk about a wine that we may have talked about before, but this is a Meadowcroft white. It is a Rousseau. It is from the Dry Creek Valley, which is pretty fun. It is bottled, of course, by Meadowcroft in Sebastopol. Really nice winery, makes really good wine, sustainable. Of course, that's why the bee label is, because save our bees. Again, it's a screw top because they're preserving that as well and saving that. So great wine for you guys to drink. It's a 2023. If you ever like the Meadowcroft winery, it's a great winery. You can definitely check them out. So again, when we talk about setting up these pet trusts, just make sure that you have the terms and conditions like you would taking care of a child. They are animals. They are living, breathing things. They need to have proper health care, veterinary care. They need to be having proper nutrition. What kind of food do they eat? They need to be maintained or groomed, if you will. So it's very important to make sure that that's all spelled out in your pet trust so your people know exactly what you want or how you've accustomed these animals to be raised. Also very important, just making sure that that person that you have named as the caretaker has a backup just in case. And then also who's going to manage that money for that caretaker, or they might be the same person. Either or is totally fine. You can also consider, the animal's age, what kind of breed they are, their health, their lifestyle, in determining what kind of amounts that they might need for the remainder of their lifetime. Older pets might need more money. So my little kitty girl here, she's an older gal. She might need a substantial amount more money as she ages and, starts having health ailments, if you will, to make sure that she is taken care of and as healthy and happy as she can be. Also, when you're doing these estimates, if they need grooming, they need maybe dental care, what kind of food do you feed them that they're accustomed to? I feed my cats some bougie food because I want them to have nice, healthy stuff, if you will. And then again, provide those detailed instructions of what you want to have them raised as or taken care of. Do they have unique habits or requirements? Do they have a special bed or a favorite toy or whatever it is that you have done for them, that you've spoiled them with, that they continue to be spoiled in that way? Because think about how traumatizing it is for them. They can't speak to us. They don't know. And that you've been their person, obviously animals bound to their people and vice versa. Just imagine that for them. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand why you're not there anymore. They don't understand why you're not there to take care of them. And that can be really, really upsetting and traumatizing for them. So making sure that they're going to be transitioned to a place that's, safe and loving and calm for them is really, really important. So if you have, for instance, cats like myself who do not have children around them, they are their only cats in the house. They don't have dogs. They don't have any other animals. The chickens, of course, are outside. And you then pass away or you're not able to have them, and then you have them go to some place that has maybe young children, they have dogs, they have a lot of chaos and a lot of energy in the home. That might be very upsetting for those animals. So consider that when you're thinking about who's going to take care of these animals, that they should go maybe to a friend that only has one other cat or maybe doesn't have cats or children, to make sure that they're taken care of and not stressed out, because you not being there is going to be super stressful as it is for them. And then being thrown into a new environment is going to be overwhelming for them. So just some things to consider and think about. Some pitfalls when you're doing this is making sure that you update your trust. A lot of people fail to do that. They will set it, which is great. And I always say, every 3 to 5 years, take a look at it. And that includes your pet trust. Every 3 to 5 years, making sure that that is still what you want. That person who's going to be taking care of them is that same person. The money funds are still there, that maybe that pet has passed away or you have a new pet. Making sure that those things are updated just so people know what you want done and what's going on. And then another pitfall, again, is not people having those backup caretakers or trustees for that pet trust. So if you have questions on that or would like to talk about cats, I'll talk to you about cats all day long because I just love them so much. And if you have questions on getting your pet trust set up or your estate plan, of course, always reach out to me at yourestateplan.online. And of course, when you think of death, think of me. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine. As always, we have to get the legal stuff out of the way. I went to law school, so you don't have to. However, we have to read the special disclaimer that I am not a practicing attorney. I am not your attorney. I am not offering any legal advice in any content or any episode. All content is for your information and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for seeking your own legal advice from your own attorney or other professionals such as a CPA or financial advisor. I cannot give legal advice and do not offer any legal services or legal advice, but I do offer some fun and educational content for you to enjoy.